Welcome back to the Fit Dad Club podcast. My name's Travis Jones. I'm here for another week helping you guys become the best version of yourselves for your kids, for your family, for yourself. And as always, I'm here with Jason Barrett. How you doing, Jace?
I'm doing incredibly well. Thank you, Trav. I'm excited to be here to help, change some lives, change some dads, get some results for them. It's just, let's fucking go. Let's just get into it.
I love it. What's happened over the last week for you, mate? Has anything exciting happened?
No, I mean, not particularly. I think I was able to get 10 chin-ups in a row. I just posted on the Instagram, one of my clients, when Matt was like his fittest, like 10, 12 years ago, living in London. He was like, my goal was to get 10 chin-ups in a row and I wasn't able to do it. And this is like, 10 years ago. And he's like, now I've just been able to, he did I think 10, then 7, then 5 or something like that. I find chin-ups are probably the worst, like in terms of drop off from set to set, no matter how long I rest. I'm like, no. I'll get 10. I'm like, I'll get 6 the next one. But got 10 in a row, which was nice, just like my client, Matt. So he's catching up to me. That's what you want. You want your clients to catch up to you. Otherwise, man, all going good. You got high rocks this weekend, don't you?
Yeah, man. Yeah. So my back's still obviously quite grabby still, but I'm good with running. And I did a 10K under 45 minutes again today. So I sort of cracked into it and hit a 44, which is... I think I was running the first 3 kilometers. I was just trotting along and I was like, you know what? I'm feeling okay. The next 7, I'm just going to crack on. And I still managed to sort of crack under 45 for that. So I know my 10K split's probably, or 10K times probably around 42, 43 at the moment. So I'm feeling good. My back's grabbing a little bit. So it's a doubles high rocks for me. So I'm going to lean on Tyler to do some of the stuff that involves my lower back a little bit more because I don't want to be out.
Because when I was trying those, when I was practicing before I fucked my back, getting the little butt wink at the bottom, I was not a happy chappy with the lower back.
I'm okay. I reckon the biggest thing is going to be like the rower, just the like massive load through my lower back with the rower.
Just have to row like just all arms.
Yeah, literally, I'll just be curling the rowing machine. We'll see how we go. I think for us, like this is just a flow. Enjoy it with each other. I haven't seen Tyler for a bit, and it's always good to have, code 5. It's like brotherhood, right? Like we want to have brothers in arms with our training, and we're going to have a really good crack in December. So this is like a training round for us for December. But today, guys, what we want to talk about is, these 5 key things, right? And I think if you can nail these 5 things with your transformation, you're going to get a great one, and you're going to be consistent. When we're looking at it, it's like, this is the reason why most dads stay stuck, because they don't fix these 5 things. And today we're going to tell you how to fix it. If you're a dad who's just trying to lose the gut, feel better in your own skin and show up for your family, like this is what today's episode is all about. It's these 5 big truths. And the first one isn't like weight loss isn't just about eating clean. And we talk to guys all the time about this. No, I eat really well. I eat whole foods, or I eat, chicken this, and I eat broccoli that. We eat vegetables at dinner time. But the fact is, like, eating clean doesn't actually mean you're going to lose weight. Just because you're eating whole foods, it doesn't mean you're in a calorie deficit. You could eat chicken and broccoli 3 times a day and still gain weight. Depends on how much chicken and how you're cooking it and what's on the broccoli, and then what drinks you're doing. Like, people are saying they're eating clean, but they're still having like 3 lattes and 4 beers or 3 beers, and they don't understand, okay, that's another 700 calories. But then on the weekend, they don't count the 4 chicken nuggets they have off their kids' plate and all the rest. So I think you have to understand that it doesn't matter if it's a donut or a chicken breast, there's calories in that. And it's not about, for the micronutrient content, your health. It does matter what the profile of it is, but it doesn't matter as far as weight loss. So there've been so many studies around this, from the Big Mac one. I think the guy ate Doritos and Twinkies, and clearly he was not eating clean and still losing weight. Do you have insights into those studies, Jace? Do you remember those?
Oh yeah, there's I think there's a guy who did it was like beer and ice cream or something like that as well. And the principle is, if you're calorie controlled, then you lose weight. And it's like when you've got excess body fat to lose, the most important thing, like the number one thing that actually matters, and all of his health markers improved across that journey. And the same as the guy who, after Supersize Me, went through and ate Macca's every single meal. I think it was like a teacher. He ate Macca's for every single meal, but he stayed within a calorie control and he lost weight. His health improved, and he ended up, his like blood work was better, his cholesterol was better. He was at less risk of diabetes, all that kind of stuff, because he just lost body fat, right? And that's like the biggest focus, and you get that through calories in, calories out, fundamentally. So yes, eating more whole foods is going to be better for you than eating the same amount of calories of shit. But if both of them are over, your first point has to be drop the calorie load, right? Now, one way people do drop calories is they focus on cleaner foods. Like if you go from eating a Macca's burger with chips and a Coke to eating just a burger with the salad and a sugar-free Coke, it's like, yeah, you're eating healthier and you're eating better foods and you're probably going to drop calories. Even changing all of that out for some chicken breast, broccoli, and rice just to be, boring. But like if you were to trade in that, yeah, sure, that'll be less calories. But it doesn't matter if it's less calories if it's still more than you need. So you have to be under what you need. You have to give your body essentially the reason to pull from your body fat stores. And that doesn't come from eating clean, right?
No,
so
it doesn't.
you don't have to focus on just, all right, I'm going to eat all of these clean foods. Why is nothing working? Because portion control still matters.
Exactly. I think that's a big thing. Every single one of us out there has a total daily energy expenditure. If you want to lose half a kilo a week, guys, you have to be in a 500 calorie deficit off that calorie expenditure. If you want to lose a kilo a week, you need to be in a 1,000 calorie deficit off that expenditure. So you need to work out what your expenditure is, and you need to be consistent. And I think that's the big thing. It's, if you're in a 500 calorie expenditure Monday through Thursday and then Friday through Sunday, again, we talk to guys all the time. Oh, I'm really good Monday to Thursday. And then Friday to Sunday, it's like YOLO. And it all goes out the window. Then they go into a 1,000 calorie surplus each day and they actually gain weight. 60% of the week, they're doing great in a calorie deficit. And then 40% of the week, they're actually in a calorie surplus enough to actually break the maintenance. Calories matter over the week, not over the day. And if you're in a surplus over the week, then you're going to keep gaining weight, and it's about consistency. So I think the biggest thing guys can do is track their weekends like religiously more than they do their weeks. I think that's where we become undone because we have a lack of structure. It's not about eating great one day. It's about eating 80, 90% for 7 days. And that's going to be the difference. And it doesn't have to be a massive calorie deficit. If you want to lose half a kilo a week, it's 500 a day. Or over the course of the week, it's 3,500. You manage that throughout your week. And that's how we get the consistency with weight loss every single week. I think that the next thing, Jace, is what I wanted to talk about is where guys, again, they go undone is they don't understand that protein is the best weapon for fat loss because calories is the best weapon for weight loss. Now, we don't want to lose muscle mass, okay? The last thing you want to do is, you want to lose 10 kilos and you lose the 10 kilos, but 5 kilos of it was muscle mass. And all of a sudden, you're just a smaller, softer version of yourself. And you're like, oh, I thought I was going to get lean and shredded. And it's like, nope, now you're just a soft, small version of you. We want to be strong. We want to be lean. We want to be athletic. We want to be a fit dad, not a soft dad. One of the key things to do this is to make sure your protein is up, right? We want to be anywhere between 1.5 to 2 grams of protein per kilo, depending on your body weight, right? Everyone, if you're 150 kilos, no, you don't have to eat 300 grams of protein. You're going to be around the 1.5. If you're only sitting at 70 kilos, yeah, you're going to be up towards that 1.8 to 2 grams per kilo. So I think we have to understand, again, the context of this matters. You have to understand this is always an individualized process, and that's why we have coaches, and that's why we coach our clients through. But understand protein is your best friend in fat loss, because if you're in a calorie deficit, you lose weight. If you eat enough protein, then protein is muscle sparing. Okay, so it gives you enough amino acids so the muscle will hold if you're doing resistance training with that as well. And then you're losing fat mass and not muscle mass. And that's what gives you the lean athletic look that I'm assuming the reason why you're listening to this podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're listening to this podcast and you want to be rounder and softer, probably, look, I guess you can take and go, I'll just do the opposite of what they say. Yeah, and that's exactly true. And that's the thing, we'll get a lot of dads that come through like, oh, I'm a big meat eater, I eat a lot of meat, but that's just dinner. Right? And that's some dinners, right? Oh yeah, there's always meat in my pasta, but it's a massive bowl of pasta with 2 tiny bits of chicken in it because your wife put 1 breast in for 6 members of your family. That's not going to cut it, right? It's in there as a token. You can call it chicken carbonara all you want, but it's carbonara and there might be a bite of chicken potentially. So when you say, oh, I'm a big meat eater, you've got to look at it in the context of your whole day, right? Because for most people, you're starting the day with toast or cereal or something like that. And my number one hack or recommendation is to, if you are having something like cereal, trade out the milk for high protein yogurt. And if you can as well, pop in a scoop of protein powder. If you could mix those two together, that gives you a huge bump, about 50 grams of protein in the morning, which is almost about a third of your day. And this is how, when you're building meals, this is how you want to look at it. You got to ask yourself, where is my protein coming from? Where am I getting protein from in this meal? And if you're having 3 meals a day, then each meal needs to be, on average, about 33% of your daily intake, right? If your daily intake needs to be about 160 grams, that means you need about 53 grams of protein in each meal. And just so you know, 100 grams of meat will give you on average about 20 grams of absorbable protein. So you need like 250 grams of meat at least in a meal for you. If let's say there's no other sources of protein in there, if that's your sole, bit of cheese, a bit of light cheese will do that. Bread has a little bit of protein in it. Like all the other sources do add up. But this is why we focus on hitting it hard early, because if you start behind the 8 ball, I had some kids leftover Cocoa Pops with full fat milk for breakfast, and there's a little bit of protein. They said it's a source of protein. It's like 1 gram is not it's a source of protein, sure, but it's not a good one. So if you need to look at where am I getting my protein from if you're looking at these meals. But most guys are like super under eating, and when they do eat protein, they're eating really fatty cuts. I've got protein. I have lamb chops. It's like, lamb chops are more calories from fat than they are protein. Right. And like, I know most dads, I'd be like, probably like me as well. Bite the fat and rip it off and you fucking chew it all. You enjoy it.
Exactly.
That's where the flavor is, but that's also where the fat and the calorie content comes from. So not only do you need to choose protein, you need to choose lean proteins more often than not. So for me, it's like Greek yogurt is a huge one. Extra lean beef mince, you cook that up with some seasonings. You can add that shit into pretty much anything, right? Meal prepping some, like last night we made a lentil soup, right? Lentil soup with lots of veggies. Fucking like a tiny amount of protein from the lentils, right? So I was like, where am I going to get my protein from? So I just thought I'm going to pan fry some chicken thighs and I'm just going to chuck that on top. Doesn't work with a dish, not traditional. It's not, I don't care. It is my source of protein for the meal. I can either chop it up and mix it through, or I've just got to, I just put mine in as a big hunk and I use my spoon because it was that tender. I used my spoon to cut it and eat it. And that was it, right? Look for protein. Focus on protein. It'll keep you full. Will increase your metabolic rate because your body has to work harder to digest protein than it does to digest carbs and fats. So your metabolism will go up, the thermic effect of food will go up, and that'll mean you lose more weight and lose more fat because yay protein, yay amino acids, yay muscles. That's the simple way to put it.
Exactly. I think like the thing that I look at is, as you said, Jace, if I know that a meal is going to be a little bit lower in protein, all I do is I just have a protein shake as my drink with
That's
the
the
meal.
simplest option.
That's the simplest option, right? So I was like, I got these meal prep. I like these meal preps. They're like 3 meatballs and it has a bit of pasta in it, and they're about 440 calories. And I have them for lunch, and it takes 2 minutes. And I know that it's like a smaller company that's at a local, food store. Local, when I say it's an hour drive.
Support local.
Yeah, exactly. No, 100%. But they were on sale for like $3.99 for these meals, and I love them. So Liv bought me like 6 of them last week. She's like, I can't make it for this price. And I'm like, okay, well the protein content's only about 25 grams in them. I was like, oh, okay. So each time at lunchtime, I've just been having one of those meals, which is like 440 calories, it's thereabouts. And I'll have a protein shake, which is another 107 or 110 calories. And I hit, in my meal, now I'm eating like 55 grams of protein. So my drink is the protein shake. My meal is the calories. I'm eating about 570-ish grams of calories for the meal. And it's a massive protein hit. I think, there's it's not a bad way to do it. Right? It's just, it isn't. You have to just look at your meals sometimes and go, okay, well, how can I get my protein up? And if it is having half a scoop of protein powder in some water, then you got 15 extra grams of protein. Wow. Okay, great. Or if you can't actually get more protein, I'm not going to make some meatballs, chuck a couple of more meatballs inside the pre-made meal and cook it up. I don't have the time, I don't have the patience, and I don't have the capacity to be fucked to do it. So I think for me, I look for the easiest option as a dad who wants to eat easy and quick, especially during the days, because I'm not sitting down with anyone. I'm sitting down with me. I just want to have the simplest shit that I can have. That's either a prep or it's either pre-made with something. And I want to make sure I hit my protein content. Because for me, I'll have that for lunch and I'm full till dinner. Right? I don't need to eat again. And, that means I have a big dinner. I sit down with the family. I get to talk. That's the one where I have more calories because I sit down and have the conversations. I like to have more of an emotional-based meal. When I say emotional, it's like connecting with my family. And with that, I'm not going to eat, 300 calories and not eat, and I'll be sitting there for the next half hour because I eat fast because I'm a dad. So I want to have big calories in my dinners, and that's just how I work out my day. So I think the biggest thing for yourself, guys, is you have to work out your days, and you have to work out how much protein do I need in each meal. Then you work out, okay, I'm going to sort my protein out first, and then go, what can I add around this meal to make sure that I'm still hitting within my calories? And then all of a sudden you're in a calorie deficit, so we're adhering to 0.1, and now we're adhering to 0.2, which is making sure that we're getting the protein, because that's king for fat loss. The third thing we wanted to talk about today is making sure the training, it doesn't have to be long, okay? It just needs to be structured. I think this is, if you're going into the gym and you're just winging it every day, or if you're not going at all because you can't go for 90 minutes and that's what you're used to do when you're a teenager or early 20s, like it doesn't have to be like that. Maybe you just need a little bit more education and understand the constraints. If you have 20 minutes, it's better than no minutes. I think you have to understand there's a little something's better than all of nothing. So we have to make sure that we're getting some structure in, and we need to have, if it needs to be 35 minutes, then you structure it around 35 minutes. It has to be 25 minutes, then you structure it around 25 minutes. I think strength training is the thing that builds muscle. It holds onto muscle and boosts our metabolism, which allows us to hold on to the muscle whilst we're losing fat. It is key to do resistance training whilst losing fat mass. If not, you will lose some muscle mass.
100%. I think, you've got to do it so it's fit for purpose. No one's doing, if you've got 45 minutes to train, like you're probably not going to do, I don't know about you guys, I'm not going to do a 45-minute EMOM, right? Every minute on the minute. Because that's a lot of fucking minutes. Unless, 5 of those minutes are walk for 1 kilometer. Because that's going to be brutal. No, you got 45 minutes, you can structure it differently. You can do a couple of supersets with high intensity and then you have rest periods. If I've got 20 minutes to train, I'm not fucking resting. Like, I'm not wasting time resting. I'm doing a circuit. I'm doing an EMOM. I'm doing an AMRAP. Like, focus on keeping moving as much as possible throughout that time because it's limited. So you need to have options and you need to have, as Trev said, you need to have structure around your training. You don't need 90 minutes. You don't need an hour for most people. 35 minutes of focus, 35 minutes of intense training is all you really need, right? Like, most dads are either, they've gone through the motions in the gym. They don't know what they're doing. They have never done like a max test. They don't know how hard to push. And like, I know this because each week in, week out, I'm essentially doing max testing because I'm pushing to failure in most of my exercises because I'm in the gym for 30 to 45 minutes, right? So I'm like, cool, I've got to push hard. I'm going to push intense. I'm going to see if I can do one more rep each week. And so far each week, I've been able to do one more rep, right? But it's the last rep that's in the tank. So you've got to push intensely enough and you've got to not rely on, I'm going to do 10 minutes on the treadmill to warm up because it's like, that's all well and good. And, if you've got the time for it, awesome. But if you don't have the time, that's just 10 minutes of walking, right? You can get that in anywhere. You don't have to be in the gym for that. You don't have to be during, taking time away from your kids at home to do that. You can do that later. Get in there and get intense, right?
Take them for a walk down the park if you want to go for a walk.
Yeah, exactly. And then do the monkey bars with them and realize, fuck, that's really hard. I need to practice this a little bit more. The monkey bars is my 5-year-old, they got hands. They're much better at it. But most dads are doing way too much cardio, right? They're doing lots of runs. They're not weight training. So they're not going to get that lean physique. They're going to end up skinny fat, right? They're going to burn a lot of calories through running, but they're not going to do anything to maintain that muscle mass. So if you can do 3 to 4 full body sessions per week, awesome. 20, 30 minutes, even if it's one a week, like one a week from like a maintenance perspective is infinitely better than none. So if you're not doing anything, aim for 1 or 2. 20-minute EMOM, AMRAP, do something where you can just keep on moving and keep the consistency there rather than sort of, tell yourself, all right, I'm going to do these hour-long workouts when you're not doing anything at all at the moment. Because I think this is the big issue for dads. They overpromise and then they under-deliver on themselves. So get in there with intensity. Focus on just like training till you're fucked, right? There's one of the things I tell a lot of my guys when they first start, especially who are starting with body weight. I'm like, this circuit, do it until you can't do it anymore. It might not be the full 20 minutes. It might be 10 minutes. It might be 8 minutes when you first get started, but that's all right. You've done more of a workout in 8 minutes than some dude piss farting around on his phone that took an hour to do a 20-minute workout.
100%, mate. And I think what Jason's alluding to, guys, with the increasing training intensity, he doesn't mean to you don't have to be intensely doing things. It means increasing the weight you're lifting to the weight you can actually lift. So lift within 1 to 2 reps from failure. Like that is intense training. It's like out of your 100% 1RM, you want to be lifting the max you can for the reps that you're currently doing. And that's what's going to create the stimulus for like gaining lean muscle mass. If you are doing a 10-minute EMOM, which is every minute on the minute, and you're doing something like a push and pull because you're trying to be conservative with your time, you might have like chin-ups on the odd minute, and you might have bench press on the even minute. The first minute could be your warm-up set. You don't have to be on a treadmill for your warm-up. Your warm-up could be like 20 bench press with a barbell. And all of a sudden, second minute rolls around. Okay, I'm doing like 10 chin-ups. Third minute comes around. Okay, I'm going to do 50 kilos on the bench press for 14 reps. Okay, you're just punching it out until you're about to fail. Go back to your chin-ups. Oh, wow, I can do one less now because chin-ups are hard. We go back. We go back to the bench press. Okay, now up to 70 kilos. Okay, I can do this for 11 reps before I'm about to smack it in my face. Put it back, go back to the chin-ups, and then you go up again. I'm going for 100 kilos. Okay, I can do 8 reps. But what we're doing every single time, we're stacking the weight and we're pushing towards that 1 rep in reserve. And you go back to your chin-ups back and forth. All of a sudden, 10 minutes is done. You had 3 really good working sets in there, and you had 5 sets of chin-ups. So that's more than enough stimulus for your chest. Now, okay, now I'm going to do a superset with, our biceps and triceps. You do exactly the same thing, guys. Just ramp up the weight every single set. The reps will come down slowly, so it's like a pyramid. And, with that, you're going to get a huge amount of volume through your arms. You got it done in 20 minutes. And if you did that twice a week, that's more than enough working sets on your chest and back and on your arms to see some significant growth. It actually is. And most of the guys are just, pissing around, wasting their time. Now, you did that for legs a couple of times a week or at least once a week, or if you did that on legs and you had a 30-minute session, and all of a sudden you're doing 2 really good full body sessions twice a week and you're getting huge volume frequency through the body, and we're going to get the results we're after. It doesn't have to be long. It has to be structured. And then you have to make sure that if I did this in my EMOM this week, next week I do an extra rep, like Jay said, where I throw a little bit more weight on the bar and I lift some more weight. And that's the structure we need. And it's not about duration, it's about intensity. And intensity being lift 1 to 2 reps from failure and just keep pushing the bar as much as you possibly can with good form and good tempo. So make sure you're actually controlling the bar when you're doing it as well. The next thing I want to talk about, it's never time that's holding us back, it's your identity. I think this is a big shift that we have and we help a lot of our guys do. Like, you don't need more motivation. You simply don't, guys. I think like a lot of guys will go, no, motivation sucks and that's why I don't train. Like, motivation comes and goes like the tide, right? One day it's here and for 4 days it's out. Who knows? Like, you can't pick it, you can't guess it, but you just need an identity where you're the man who's living his life based on habits, not based on feelings. Okay, if you live your life based on feelings, you're going to be living by default. If you live your life based on habits, you're going to be living by design. I think that's the man that we need to help, we need to create, and we need to become, because that's the man who gets the results.
100%. Like, you need to look at what are the habits that because you're doing things already, right? You're already living by your habits, but those habits are dictated by the emotions that you feel. Whereas if you choose to do things and you start to implement habits that you do regardless of how you feel, then it's a lot more easy for you to maintain those results. And that your habits make you. Your habits become who you are. So when it comes to you getting this result long term, it's not, I don't have the time. It's like, no, this is what I do. Right? Because this is who I am. I am the dad who's fit. And it seeped its way into a lot of our clients' identities, right? This is now what I do and who I am. My kids know me as the dad who works out. He goes in the gym and he does this. We go for walks together. We do this stuff together. That is the identity that they are taking on. And if you can make that identity shift, because so many guys are just stuck in that old way of thinking. They're stuck in I'm the fat dad, I like to have a couple of beers. I like to go out with the boys. I'll, love a good pub feed. And, my boys know me as I'm the guy who can always finish the plate or whatever. You stick to that identity, you're going to continue to be that person. But you've got to be intentional about, well, what do you want to be? Like, what do you want to be known for? What's the legacy that you want to leave behind, right? Like, what if your kids grew up to treat their body the way that you treated it? Is that what you want? So the more and more you think about, all right, well, like, I've got to set the example. I've got to be the person, right? This is identity. I've got to be the person that I want my kids to be, or that I want my kids to admire. Or, if you've got a daughter, it's like, well, what am I being the dad that I would want for my grandkids? Am I being the partner that I would want my daughter to have? And it's like, I think about that constantly. I'm like, well, what example am I setting? The way I treat, Lauren, my wife, that's the partner that Imogen is going to look for or going to aspire to, as long as it's healthy. Unless she sees it, that's disgusting and gross. I want the opposite of that, right? But it's like, that's the first relationship they see modeled, and that's the first set of behaviors they see modeled. So if you're showing up tired and you're showing up grumpy and you're, not moving your body, you don't feel good about yourself, and you take that out on your family. It's like, those are all identity shifts that we need to make towards you being a fit dad and a happy dad and a healthy dad, because that impacts every area of your life.
I agree, man. I think if you can sit there listening to this podcast right now and think about the future version of yourself, the one that's, lighter, leaner, stronger, fitter, more athletic, who's proud of himself when he looks in the mirror, what does he do? Like, if you take like a minute or two and write down what's he do, does he press snooze or does he get up? Does he track his food or does he eat whatever he feels like at the time? Does he, you have to write down, what does he do? And then I want you to live like that for 7 days, not based on your feelings, but based on who the future version of you is and how they act, and then see how you feel after 7 days. I'll tell you right now, you would have lost weight, you would have feel better, you'll have more energy, and you'll be fucking excited because all of a sudden you've got momentum. And it's only because you start acting like the version of you that you want to become, and all of a sudden, over time, you become that version. The last one I want to talk about today is accountability beats information. Right? We can give you all the information in the world, and there's information at the tip of your fingers from Google to ChatGPT these days. But the problem is, information is free, right? Implementation costs money, right? You have to understand someone helping you implement it, keeping you accountable. That is the biggest thing that holds people back. Like, they are only accountable to themselves. And what that got you is here today, which is somewhere that a lot of guys want to change. So if you can't be accountable to yourself, you need to find someone you can be accountable towards. And your knowledge is not the problem. You know you shouldn't be eating the ice cream after every meal. You know you shouldn't be having the multiple portions. You know you should be getting more steps in. You know you should be training. You know you should be doing all these things, but you aren't because you're not accountable. You're not accountable to yourself. You're not accountable to anyone else. And when you are accountable to yourself, you start again every single Monday, because by Wednesday you're like, fuck, this is too hard because I'm doing it the wrong way. I think, we need a system, and we need some accountability towards that system. And that's the reason why you keep falling off and keep losing the same 10 kilos every year for the next 10 years.
100%. Like, at the end of the day, right? Like, you're being held accountable. You're being pushed to the standard. You're being said, you've got someone in your corner who's like, hey, this is what you said you wanted. Because it's so easy for us to bullshit ourselves, right? And it's a lot harder when someone else is like, well, this isn't what you told me that you wanted. You told me you wanted X, Y, and Z, but now you're coming up with this. So which one is it? And that might be confronting for people. And this is why a lot of people sort of shy away. It's like, how bad do you want it? And accountability reminds you of why you started this in the first place. They remind you of the shit that you have to go through, right? The hard workouts, the food deprivation, which isn't even honestly that bad, but people make it up in their heads, and it's like, oh, this is so bad, I can't have an entire Domino's pizza and 6 chicken nuggets to myself. To be honest, we don't want you to ever be that person again. So if you're not willing to give that fucking one hedonism up, then this isn't the life for you. You're not going to be that dad. It's like, well, there's the pain, right? And there's the reality of your life is, are you choosing to be the dad who can polish up a whole pizza on his own and loves to do that all the time? Or are you going to be the example for your kids, right? You don't need more information. Yeah, you can't be both. You can't be both unless you're, I don't know, fucking strong man or whatever, and you need 5,000 calories a day, but be my guest. But otherwise, like, being held accountable beats having all the information. Oh, I'm just going to do some research and I'm going to look at this and look at that and find the optimal. No, you need someone to say, hey, let's do some fucking basics and let's do them consistently, because if you could have done this by yourself, you already would have. This is why you need someone. This is why you're listening. This is why you're gathering stuff. And all the information on the podcast is great. And if you're taking action on it, awesome. But if you're not, you need a kick up the ass. You need that accountability. And that's where we come in.
Exactly. So guys, what we talked about today was consistency over clean eating. Protein is king. Train smart, not long. Making sure that is identity over motivation. Okay. And accountability drives results. And you don't need to overhaul your life. You just have to win the day. So your goal is to win today, and then wake up again tomorrow and do it all again. So if you want help with closing the gap from where you are to where you want to be, and you want to become a fit dad and sort of shy away from what that fat dad was that you were, then go to fit-dad.club. That's fit-dad.club. Is that what our website is?
Fit-dad.club.
Okay. There we go. I'm getting old. I'm turning 41. Fit-dad.club. And you can book in a call with me and Jace, and we can have a chat of, basically what you need to do. We can give you a game plan. And then if you want to work together, we can. But if not, you can have a game plan and know where you are holding you back. What's the little things and what exactly you need to do. So go to fit-dad.club, book in a call, we'll have a chat. And also you can just leave a review, rate the podcast, share it with a friend. That always helps us out, because we're here every week trying to give you some information to help you become the best version of you. Until next week, guys, have a great week. Be the fittest version of you and look after your family.
Peace out.
Awesome, dude.
Nice.